What's up? What's up? What's up? Hopefully everybody can hear me loud and clear. So just let me know what's going on, man. Yes, yes, yes. What's up, Holly? MFG. Man, I'm on YouTube here too, man. I need to play with live from my phone on YouTube more. Man, I don't see how it'll let me use the chat option or at all. You know, on Saturdays, I like to talk a little bit about mindset. I don't like to overdo it. I do think it's crazy important. At the same time, you know, there's a lot of ways to do mindset. What's up, man? Let me know you guys can hear me on YouTube. I don't normally do Saturdays on YouTube, but I thought I would try. So, play with two cameras, right? Nothing more fun than making things more confusing. If you don't have my free ebook, you don't have to die broke. Go get it. Don't use $100 bills as bookmarks, right? I'll tell you a funny story. For a while, I was using hundreds. So tenants, you know, back when I was first doing rental properties, a lot of people paid in cash. And so I would get these $100 bills all the time. And when you're not used to getting $100 bills, man, I didn't want to break them. So I would keep them. And I would be like, let me try to fund this with my work. Anything comes up, and I keep these hundreds. And I started kind of using them for like mindset stuff, man, like silly shit. Like I would use a $100 bill as a bookmark, and then I would get another book, and I buy a lot of books, man. It always makes me laugh when like someone will be like, which book of yours should I get? It's like, all of them? Like there's only 3, man, a couple. I mean, it's such a weird question to me because I buy, like, to this day, I'll buy 2, you know, it's nothing for me to buy 2-3 books a week, man. And I don't even necessarily read them all. Eventually I do. But a lot of times, sometimes I just seen it. I don't want to forget about it. I'll order it, and I may not get to that book for, you know, a year. And then sometimes I'm thinking on something, or I need help or resources, or I'm thinking about, you like this wine, these wine containers here? They, I need to put the Bitcoin wine in there. That's what these are. They're for holding. Oh, you can't see it on Instagram. But check it out. Let me turn this. Hold on. These are for wine, man. Pretty cool. Came with the house. Always wanted a house with a bar, man. And I fell in love with this house. It has a little bar in it. I don't even drink like that, man. You guys know I'm a beer drinker. You don't really need a big bar for a beer drink, but you know, my friends do. Friends come over, we can mix drinks. I do some meet and greet type things at my house. I have people, you know, book time with me, and the other day, you know, a guy's become a buddy of mine came over and we worked out his deal on the whiteboard, man. Sometimes just seeing the deal you're trying to buy on a whiteboard can help you think it through. You know, so he sat here and had a drink. I'm on the whiteboard and we kind of worked through his deal that he was buying. So if you're ever near me, that's some shit we can do. We can set that up. I like doing stuff like that. You know, it's also a side hustle. It's also a way to make some money. You know, so if you can make money doing something you love to do, man, there ain't much better than that. And you know, that's like doing one-on-ones. And a lot of times with people, if I do a one-on-one, a lot of times they want to do follow-ups, and we don't necessarily need an hour. You know, maybe they just need 15 minutes to run it down. 30 minutes is usually what we do. And they don't need a full hour, you know. We do different ways, you know, that way they can take advantage of it, not spend too much money, and, you know, I can help them. But that stuff can help, man, talking to people, because you may not be surrounded by people doing what you're trying to do, or that can even look at what you're doing, you know, with any sense of non-judgment, or and just give you an honest opinion, man. Like I can't go to my dad. As smart as my dad is, my dad's a software engineer, and I'm not an engineer, but he's a coder. I can't go to my dad about. That's the only thing with this YouTube, huh? It doesn't go down low. I gotta figure that. I gotta get another mic. I apologize for that. It's got a little bit of a slant. I can see. I can't really go to my dad about problems that I have, man. And that gets tough for me because a lot of times I can't go to my followers. Some I could. Some, I got plenty of followers that are wealthier than me, own more properties than me, been through more shit than me, but typically they, those guys just like the content. And then, a lot of times those dudes end up being friends, but sometimes you can. It's tough, man. And you're going to find that the older you get. And a lot of times, your friends just, they're doing something different, man. And a lot of times you're going to see most people are very self-absorbed. And so, it's hard to talk to them maybe. And if you have people you can and they can be there and give you legitimate advice, at least feedback. Sometimes you just need to bounce it. Sometimes I talk to people and I actually don't give a shit what they have to say. I'm actually doing my own thing. If you've ever watched House, where in House he's like bantering with those people, but he ain't even listening to them, man. He's doing his own thing. He just needs to say it out loud. And that's something I was going to say today. I was trying to, on Saturdays I try to think about mindset, and I believe there's 3 keys to life. Health. Doesn't do you any good to get where you're going, drop dead. So if you got something wrong with you, man, do your best to take care of it. And in these 3 categories of health, wealth, and mindset, you're going to be really good at one, and you're probably going to struggle at one. And it may change as time goes on, and you're going to see that. And life becomes compartmentalized. And if you've read my free ebook, You Don't Have to Die Broke, I talk about the business cycle being 5 to 7 years. And you're going to see that in your own life, that things are going to happen for you in 5. Let's let some people know we're here, man. I appreciate everyone's here. It won't let me change who I tell about being live. I don't understand this feature on Instagram. It tells the same people. It's like it tells the same 50 friends that most of you already come on. I don't understand why it won't let me tell people who never come on. If anybody knows how to change that, let me know. And it only lets you tell so many people. So that's kind of weird. And then sometimes I accidentally tell my mom, my cousin, I didn't really want my cousin there. You know what I mean? They're not even into this shit. And so then they come and I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? Health, wealth, and mindset. And if you can devote a good amount of, you want to kind of break things up. You can't spend all your time trying to make money, thinking about money, trying to make money, grow your business, and neglect your health, neglect your relationships, neglect, it's probably not going to work. Now, there may be a time in a season that you have to do that. I don't think you can accomplish much if you're sitting around trying to worry about balance. That's not the right approach. And I think the best approach is, if you're with your kids, be with your kids. Don't worry about trading. Don't try to do where you're pushing the kid on the swing and, you're looking at stock charts. I did that and, I kind of regret some of that. Now, the advent today with the earbud, I walk around with one earbud. Dude, I'll be at a house party with an earbud in. Most people don't even notice. And sometimes I'll be listening to shit. Nobody even notices, man. You know what I mean? And so I might catch up on something. Because to be fair, I do a lot more listening today than I do reading. And I'm always focused on those 3 concepts: health, wealth, and finance. And, right now I'm struggling with the health one. And it's not something I need help on. Like people are like, oh, can you help me? Man, I did ultra marathons. I ran for 30 something years. I was in the Army, like very capable. I understand what I need to do. I understand all that. It's, life can be hard, man. And it's usually going to hit you in some area. And when you have tragic events, and as you get older, you're going to have these. Your parents are going to die. And you're going to have to confront that. And if you have brothers and sisters, and we've had many in the MFG who lost a brother, they lost a sister, and that's close. And they all do the same thing, dude. They stop trading. They disappear for like a week, 2 weeks. And man, it's not my place to step in and say something. It's not my place to say, fuck that, dude. You need to look at the charts tomorrow. I can't make them me, but I know, here's the thing, man. I know what they don't. You know what I mean? Like, if you let all these things, even the big things, even the real things, take away your enthusiasm, knock you off the horse, it's probably never going to happen for you. And not to say that, I take a week because I'm not saying that, okay? I'm just saying if it happens a lot. I'm saying, every holiday that comes up, you have to take your eye off of this. Every time something, like, you get what I'm saying? There's all these things, and yet there's plenty of things that it won't take your eye off. Like, you're still going to go to the bathroom. You're still going to go to sleep. You're still eventually going to eat. You're still going to hug your wife. You're still going to go buy groceries, man. You get what I'm saying? No matter what happens, no matter how horrific, no matter what, there are some things you're going to do on just autopilot. And, for me, trading and investing, the things that I do, autopilot. Like, I just never let bad things in life knock me off. And I see it all the time, being in my position of running the Money Flow Trading Society. Maybe people are lying to me. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just don't like me. Maybe they don't have a need for the group. Maybe they lost. A lot of times they just lost interest in the market. They just lost interest. And then if your interest is already waning, it doesn't take much from life to knock you out. I just don't have that option. You know what I mean? Like, quitting is not an option for me. And I will ride the market to absolutely fucking zero. All the way down. And to the end of the universe. Like, I already settled that. And no matter what happens, no matter how bad, maybe you take me down a day. All right, I'll be back the next day. And what I found is when you get like that, the universe helps you. Like, it works with you. When you're unreasonable, it finds a way to help you, And yeah, man, it's tough, man. And sometimes you're gonna take 2 steps forward and then 1 back. And sometimes you're gonna take 1 forward and 2 back. And it's gonna hit you, and you're gonna mess up. And sometimes everything that could go wrong is going wrong. And sometimes you're being exposed, and it might be your fault. You know what I mean? Like, you fucked up. It's on you. You did this. You caused this. You inappropriately yelled at your child. you got drunk and drove your car. There's nothing you can blame on that. You were the fuckhead that did that. And you can come up, well, my dad didn't love me, and that's all bullshit. And I was talking to a guy the other day. A lot of my coaching that I do kept bringing up his dad. Like, man, nobody gives a fuck about your dad. You had a bad dad. So what? But his dad was absent. I was absent. What the fuck does that got to do with today? And if you can acknowledge that, and I'm not saying it doesn't hurt, I'm not saying it doesn't bother you, but it's like, whatever you needed from him, like, be that. Be that right now. Be that for someone else. Be that for yourself, man. In your own self-talk. Like, what did you need to hear from him? Because, it could have been worse, dude. Your dad could have been home and he could have just been a horrible person that beat you and burned you with cigarettes. And you might think, well, no, dude. I have friends that went through that. Believe me, they'd have been better off if dad would have abandoned them. So, careful with that stuff, man. Dragging this shit from the past. I get a lot in my coaching. It's like, well, my parents didn't teach me about money. Okay? Well, you're a grown fucking person now. You don't get to blame your mother. You don't get to blame your daddy. Anything you need to know, you can Google. So, once you're past the age of 18, you don't get to blame your parents anymore. And you can catch up real fast. And so what I do periodically, and my goal has always been to make everything as simple as possible. And I get that a lot from people, like, oh man, you make everything seem so simple. It's like, well, I'm actually trying to do that on purpose. And because I think sometimes when I would listen or take courses, and I have over, 400 or 500 books on the stock market, and I don't know how many seminars. When I first started trading, the internet wasn't really a thing, man. It was a thing, but it was so new. And we were calling trades in on the phone, dude. On the phone. And the big thing was we could email it in. I'll take X number of whatever. And when I first started doing it, I don't remember the exact price, but it was like $39 to buy a stock. If you bought one share of Lyft for $8, you would pay $8 plus $38 or $39 to execute the trade. And so typically the only people that were investing in the stock market were upper middle class white people. That was the only people that could afford to pay $40, And so sometimes you'll hear me like pick on people's parents, like, oh, your parents, let you down, or, and I'm like, why didn't your parents? To be fair, one, they didn't know. Two, it's not like they had Google, It wasn't like they could just pick up the phone and Google some shit like you guys. In fact, you don't know something, it's just you're too fucking lazy to look it up. That's just the reality of the world we live in. Information is free, dude. Like, everything is free, And anybody teaching something, like me teaching something, there's nothing I can teach you can't go learn on your own. The only value I think I can bring to it is life experience and codifying it and bucketizing it and doing some sort of order so that you can take in all that information in a logical path and order rather than just having all this information dumped on you. Is that, you get what I'm saying? Meaning, I don't have anything proprietary. I didn't invent anything, as far as the money flow, I do think the way that I teach the money flow is proprietary, that I created that, but I didn't create the indicators, and I didn't create the 4 stages of price movement. I don't know who did. I got it from Stan Weinstein. Each little piece of the money flow, and there's 6 main pieces, I got from someone else. Meaning, I got how to use moving averages from a guy named Brian Shanahan. And if I could tell you the one thing that almost everyone who learns the money flow, almost everyone, the one thing you all do wrong is you don't understand how to use moving averages. And that's usually the biggest thing. And it's exposed when people day trade with me and the way they react to price dropping below the 20-day moving average. exposes the fact that they actually don't understand the money flow. And God, it kills me, dude, because it's so powerful. And I'm not saying it's the greatest thing ever. I'm not saying that. But I know it works. And I know it works over time. And I know if you applied it, I know what happens in 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 20 years. I know what happens. It's, and the fact, I was saying this to my wife the other day, the fact that that 1 million people don't have this money flow, I don't understand it, dude. I don't understand it. I don't understand. Now they may get the information a different way. That's what I'm saying. Maybe they get it here, get it here, get it here. But any kid coming into the market, my God, dude, if he would just shut the fuck up and stop looking and stop listening to stupid people and just focus on, man, the power of that makes me sad, man. In one way it makes me super excited, and the other way it makes me sad because I know life's going to come in. And if you've ever seen in the Bible where the sower goes to sow seeds, and it talks about some fall on hard ground and a bird comes down and picks it up. And that's most people who get my book. The number, I checked the other day, and it's 70-something thousand have gotten this free ebook. 12% finished it. 12%. 12%. Now, I believe in the 10 pillars of success. So pillar number 10, take full responsibility. So I believe the reason they didn't finish it, it was my fault. I didn't write it well enough. I didn't capture their attention. It's easy to say, oh, they don't want it, or they not, but that's not the money flow way. The money flow way is pillar number 10, to take full responsibility. So it's my fault, And that doesn't mean that I'm going to beat myself up. It just means that I didn't write it well enough to get 77,000 people to read it, man. I don't know why. And, maybe it is. They just don't want it out. They were looking for something. I don't know what it is. But what I do is, it's my fault. If I was to go get in my car and drive out here and somebody hit me, it's my fault. I should have left a minute later. And I think when you think like that, it gives you power. Because now I'm never a victim. And everything that happens to me is within my circumstance of fixing. If I buy a house and I hire a contractor and he fucks me, I'm the one who bought the house and I'm the one that hired the contractor. It's my fault. And that's the way I think you look. That gives me control, and I'm never a victim to a contractor. I just move on and get a different contractor. I fucked that up. And so, meaning I'm not going to spend a lot of time whining and crying about a contractor. I'm going to deal with it. I shouldn't have hired that guy, and I'm going to move on. You get what I'm saying? And I don't know. There's just no point at all ever in being a victim, whether it be by race, by weight, by finances, by how pretty you look. Anything where you can point to someone else and say, because of this person, all that does is make you smaller and you give them power. And I never want to give them power. Hey, I'm the idiot for hiring such a shitty contractor. And then I move on. You know what I mean? That's it. And now, is that always true? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's a life philosophy that gives you the ability to control yourself, to control what's going on. And man, shit gets hard, dude. A lot of you have kids. Your kids, you're gonna get older. They're not gonna listen to you. You're gonna be trying to deal with that shit while you're out here trying to run a business or start something, or being a trader or being an investor, whatever it is you do, man. I don't know what you do, and I don't know what your hobbies are. and you're gonna these are gonna be real problems, man. Between siblings, between your wife and her brother, her sister, or her mother, and then your mother, your child, your ex-wife, the economy, inflation, the president, your religion. All these things are pressing on you, man. All this stuff is pressing on you. And it can easily become overwhelming. And then some things won't be your fault, man. They're actually not your fault. It's just the random cosmic roll of the dice. I always put these dice up. I've only ever had 2 people, 3 people perceptive enough to pay attention. And when I would go on Campfire Real Estate, periodically I'd go like this. A little while later, I'd change the number. A little while later, I'd change the number. I only ever had a couple people write them down and send them to me. It made me laugh because why do you think I was doing that? Why do you think I was doing this? Just for fun? So, trying to see who's perceptive enough. Is there a random order to these numbers? Because if I saw that, I'll be like, what was that last number? I wonder why he did that. 4, huh? And then if he did it again, I'd be like, okay, that was a 5, that was an 11. You get what I'm saying? My mind picks up on that. So if I drive by a gas station, I don't have to think about it. I go, oh, it's an Exxon station. They actually don't have that many stations. And then in my mind, because I've read a lot about Exxon, or if I drive by a Phillips 66 and I go, oh, that has, X dividend yield. Like, I don't need to say it out loud. My brain is doing this as I go by. Oh, there's the whatchamacallit. Now, you get what I'm saying? I'm looking for patterns. I'm looking for, and I'm just always in a state of doing that. If I go into a bar, I try to either count or guess how many people are in there. And then when I order a drink, I can kind of guess based on that how many drinks are out in this bar right now. And so if the beer was $6 and there's, we guess maybe 55 people, I can times that times 6, right? And I can see, look, wow, that's how much beer's out here. What's up, Brittany? And we can kind of guess how many, you get what I'm saying? And so your brain gets in this process of constantly thinking like that. Well, that's called being an investor, guys. Being an investor is it's not about ticker tips. It's not about some website or Gerald Peters that's going to give you a stock tip. That's not what it's about. That's going to help get you going, and the money flow is how to execute on charts. But it's not just about charts. Sometimes I come across and people are trading and they don't do any buy and hold, no investing. That kid's fucked, dude. It doesn't matter how good a trader he becomes. If he doesn't ever learn how to keep money, invest money, so that money can double money, which is level 4 earning money, right? All he's doing is exchanging his time and skill to make money. Well, that's still a fucking job, dude. Until you can get where you can transcend time, talent, production of product, get what I'm saying? That's number 4, where your money makes money. And so it's like, okay, you can trade. Okay, big fucking deal. A lot of people can do things to make money. And it's like, but it's because they don't see their mind, they don't see it that way. And the reason they don't see it that way is they don't practice it. And so the more you practice these things, as an adult, you gotta be about practicing things. So I do these lives on Saturday, talk about different things. Mostly mindset is practicing talking. I practice trading every day. We day trade every day in our day trade room. Even if you're trading, if you're like trading as long as I am and you're trading live money, I'm still practicing, you know. Well, I'm still practicing. I don't give a fuck about losing money. Sometimes people come in and I'm trying to teach them how to day trade. And I can't teach them because they're worried about losing points. Because I don't let anybody trade with real money. I mean, they could do it and I don't know, I guess. But I always tell them, don't use real money. Because we have to learn some things. And if you put real money on the table, I won't be able to teach you because you're going to let the money fuck with your head. So if we can remove the money and we just need to make points. So if you have a $100,000 account, we're not going to trade 100 grand because that's not very reasonable that you're going to day trade 100 grand. But it is reasonable you could buy 1,000 shares. And right now, maybe that seems unreasonable that that's a big number. But I bet the way the universe works, if you practice and you get good and you consistently and you're making money and you can document it and show it and you can do it over a long period, somehow I believe God will give you the money. Like whether it's through something, somehow you're going to get that money. Because if you prove to yourself, and if you paper trade, what they call paper trade today is not on paper. It used to be on. We used to actually paper trade. It was on paper, and it was kind of bullshit because you could just lie. Or you'd be like, oh, I would have done this. And it's like, well, but you didn't. And so, but nobody wants to do that, man. Like I always have to talk people into doing the paper trading. They want to go real money, you know? And then they have to go smaller. So when you go smaller, you're not actually doing it the money flow way. Right? And then if they do make money, they want to keep the money. And it's like, no, that's not the strategy. Sometimes in the strategy, you give it away. Meaning it went up, it didn't go far enough, you end up losing it. So my goal isn't to keep every point or every dollar. My goal is to trade my strategy because at times it's going to catch big runs. And when it does, it's going to make up for all those losers. And if you saw that on Friday, I mean, we just had an amazing day. Where the day before was a little frustrating. And maybe you're on here and I'm not picking on you. Someone in the group was frustrated. I don't know, it was Wednesday or Thursday. Because they had a couple losing trades. And who the fuck are you? You can't lose? Now, that's harsh. I get that. Like most people aren't used to being talked to like that. And I do find when I talk with some adults bluntly like that, they're not used to being talked to like that and they don't know how to handle it. But it's the truth. And here's what I've discovered. If you don't like losing, you got to go do something else, man. I mean, losing is like part of the game. I don't know if you know this, but boxers get the fuck knocked out of them periodically. And so if you don't like having your ass kicked, don't get in a boxing ring. You know? I mean, every boxer likes to get punched. You don't think Mike Tyson likes to get punched, man? Come on, man. You don't think soldiers, like you don't think SEALs like getting shot at? Fuck out of here. It may be not very woke to talk like that, guys. I get that, but there are people that want to go to fucking war to kill other people. And thank God we have those people so that the rest of us can sit back and judge them and not have to do any defending, you know. And losing in trading is part of the game. And so, you know, I like losing. Fuck it. You know, it's funny, man. What happens, think about the power you get. Think about this. What if when you have a loser, you just laugh? That motherfucker. I'm not saying you don't talk about it. I'm not saying you don't yell. But it ain't that big a deal, man. Who gives a fuck? Now, if you're day trading with me with points, you lost some points, man. I mean, you can't follow the strategy to make points. You're going to cheat to get points. You get what I'm saying? So if we can work out all of these issues and problems trying to get points, when we do it for real, you've already experienced it. And so I think most people, if they would give it a year, and I know that sounds crazy, but it's like, you're trying to print money. Like if you get this down, whether it be swing trading, investing, you're printing money. If that takes a year, if it takes 5 fucking years, who cares? You know? So, for me, when I started real estate, it was a hobby. What's up, Jess? Meaning, I didn't have some big expectation on me that, you know, I got to do this and I didn't know Ben Mahala, and I don't give a fuck about a YouTuber. Fuck those guys. Me too. Fuck me. I'm nobody, man. I'm just a dude on YouTube, man. You know? None of those guys. Fuck those guys. We can learn from them. You know, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm not comparing myself to them. You know, they don't have the same, you know, I lived in a town, dude, when I started investing in real estate, there was 22,000 people in my town. There were less than 14,000 houses in my town. Okay. You get what I'm saying? And I didn't have the luxury to buy out of my town. I was broke. And I was in the Army, and now I'm out, and I work at a prison. And I don't know about you, I don't know if you know this, but a prison guard is one of the shittiest jobs in America, and it doesn't pay very well, unless you're in California. I mean, Texas prison guard is a horrible job. And I did it part-time. I went to part-time so that I could have 5 days to myself to build a business. I didn't know what business. And my wife supported me in that. She worked full-time. And that's where all of these rules come from when I talk about the 10 pillars and the 9 thoughts on getting rich. And number 3 in the 9 thoughts on getting rich is about structuring your life around it. And so that's what we did. And we lived originally in Corsicana, Texas. I got out of the Army. My parents lived in Rice. My family had moved when I went to the Army. So when I left the Army, I didn't know a fucking soul. Not one person. I had no friends. Nobody called. Nobody. And I moved here with my parents. My parents at the time had moved up, man. They're living in a double wide trailer. They bought the big one. Big flat screen TV. You know, things people do when they live in trailers. I knew this. I didn't want to live in a trailer. And I had work ethic. And I'd met some people, stacked money. And so I knew I was going to go a different path. You know, nothing against my parents. Nothing against, but I was going to go a different way. And I knew I probably had to start a business, you know, because there's only 3 ways to get rich. Start a business, invest in business, or real estate. At the time, I didn't know these things, of course. And, you know, you meet people, you have boyfriends, you have girlfriends, all that. But my wife, and there were people that I was dating that I broke up with. They were cool. The only reason I did is they were not going to do what I wanted to do. You know, I wanted to do the Elon Musk thing where I work 100 hours a week and I sleep on the floor. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to do that. I wanted to do something. And I knew I had a small window, man. You have a small fucking window. I don't know if you guys know this. You do not have a big window. You have your whole life to compound it. But to build that base, you know, you got about a 15, 20-year window. And for me, I felt like it was even smaller because I didn't get started till I was 30. You know, I bought my first property at 32. And so I had a window in my mind of like 8 years to lay the base. Now, you really don't. I mean, there is no end. There is no beginning. You're just going to keep doing it, right? And you're just going to keep compounding. But I knew I had a window to build a base because I knew life would happen. Parents would die. I go out of business. I get sick. People around me get, I know that. I'm not stupid. I'm not oblivious to that. You can be as healthy as you want, man. Be out there cranking out the weights, looking shredded, and have a fucking stroke. Or get leukemia. Or that shit happens, dude. It's just bad luck. Get hit in a car wreck. Cosmic roll of the dice. Some drunk guy who's not even legal plows into you. Happened to my pool guy. His son's on a motorcycle, minding his business, living life, enjoying it, and illegal, drunk. Hit him, no insurance, took his leg off. Now he has no leg. How long does that keep you out? I mean, be real. You be at Discord the next day? I would. I don't think most of you would. I would. I would be swing trading shortly after waking up. I'm not saying I wouldn't be pissed. I'm not saying I wouldn't be upset. I'm not saying I wouldn't cry. But many times I've cried painting a house. About life. Many times I cried setting up my charts the next day, man. And you gotta push forward, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? You gotta keep pushing. You can't let all these things keep slowing. It's Memorial Weekend. A lot of people, they're gonna go out and spend money, go to dinners, go to this. I'm gonna do that tonight, man. But right now I'm working. I'm gonna do some one-on-ones today. I need to make some money today. You know what I mean? I'm gonna pitch my books. Why? I don't have nothing else to pitch, man. I closed my business to teach on Instagram and YouTube. I mean, you know, I was getting ready. I mean, I'm, working toward retirement, but I closed it early because I started doing this and it kind of worked. And I said, man, if I go hard at it, maybe it'll work even better. And so I closed my business early to do that. And so ever since doing that, I've done this every fucking day, 8 days a week, every day, night, mornings, evenings, constantly, to the point where everyone around me is fucking annoyed of my phone. They don't want to hear about this shit. They don't care about Instagram. Like, you get what I'm saying? If you're not annoying people, you're probably not doing it. And even as I meet people today, they'll be like, why are you always on your phone? Because I'm fucking working, dude. You know? And I don't know any other way to do it, man. I don't know how you get ahead, man. I really don't. You know? I don't know how a 35-year-old male, maybe you make 60, 70 grand, take Saturday, Sunday off, you're not doing it. I don't know, man. Like, you're fucked. I don't know if nobody's telling you, nobody's speaking into you, but you will regret that when you're old. And it's not about a balance thing. It's not that. You just don't make enough. And the world's going to eat you. The average person doesn't make enough. And going to college to get more debt is not the answer. You just got to find a way to make money that you don't need. You know what I mean? And you don't need a lot. And people don't believe me a lot of times when I say this, but I bought my first 5 or 6 properties mowing yards, guys. As a grown man, I'm out there mowing yards in my 30s. $20 yard here, $50, but every day I'm mowing. Well, if I'm getting $60, $70, $80 a day and I'm just putting it into a bag and we're living on my wife's salary and then I'm working 2 days a week at the prison, I'm getting like $900 a month on that. That's just covering gas, my truck, insurance. That's just keeping me in business. So I'm working 2 days a week to pay for the basics of the business. Now I got to get out and sell the business and hustle and mow so I can make some money. And anything I could make, we would stack. And so if I can make 2 or 3 grand this month, cool. Next month, 2 or 3 grand, cool. Next month, 2 or 3 grand, cool. That 4th month, we're looking for a property. And then I just push it all in. And then I get a house. Once you get to like 5 or 6, all of a sudden, I'm making 2 or 3 grand a month in cash flow. And I'm mowing, and I'm working, and my wife's working. And so we got what? 1, 2, 3, 4 drips going. You get what I'm saying? Then I started doing the dividend stock thing, and then I would add things. And even today I do this. I'm always testing something. You'll hear me say, oh, I'm going to try this. And then you'd be like, what happened? Why'd you stop? It didn't work. I just stopped. I'll tie an idea. I'll try a video series. I'll put out something and see if anybody will buy it. If they don't buy it, fuck it. I just move on. And so I'm always trying something, I've been working on this idea of this, I don't even know what to call it. It's kind of like 12 weeks to get your shit together. I don't know what else to call it. I don't know if you can call it that. And it's like a curriculum kind of thing. And it's not about investing or any of that. I'm sure there'd be a section or a module on that, but it's just like everything, man. Because sometimes you got to do it in the right order. And if you don't get the shit in the right order, you're going to have a hard time executing, and to think through some of the things that the world tells you. Your accountant will give you advice, maybe how to save taxes today, but that may not be the play to get where you're trying to go. You might need to pay some taxes. Putting all your money into a Roth IRA, that sounds good. And if you're gonna work your whole fucking life and retire, then yeah, that was the play. But what if your wife wants to open a restaurant? What if you guys want to buy an apartment building? What if at 32 you get what I'm saying? So it's too simple to say, oh, start investing early. Yeah. I mean, yeah, time times amount times yield. But to say the answer is to, start work and immediately put your money into the market. I mean, yes, that works. And over time, you're going to be happy you did. But that may not be the play, man. That may not be what would make you happy. You may not want to work there for 60 fucking years. What if they showed you a plan where you could do 12 years, be worth $2 million, and then do whatever you want to do? I mean, so it's not as simple as that. And it always makes me mad because on one hand, that's good advice. On the other hand, it may not be good advice. And the number of guys that I counsel, talk with, and ladies, when I say guys, I mean everybody, and they don't have any money, like in checking, I mean, maybe a little, but they got all this money tied up in a 401k that they don't understand, that they don't know what it's doing, and you think, wow. So they can't buy property because they're sending it over here to, they don't know who to do, they don't know what to use, they don't know when. And it's not to say that those aren't good things. I mean, there's plenty of good 401ks out there. I'm not saying there's not. I'm just saying when you start thinking about this, is like, say that out loud, man. Would you advise someone to do that? I mean, so, make sure you know what it's in, make sure you know what it's doing, and that it congruently lines up with your highest value system. That's not the only path to retirement, by the way. Elon Musk doesn't have a Roth IRA, guys. The people that have the most money are not doing these plans. Okay, this is the middle class, and it's kind of been pumped to us like this is the only way, and it's like, no, that's bullshit. But there's a reason for that. The system is set up like that. You don't need a 401k to retire. You just need money. You need money invested. And maybe it's in a 401k. That's cool. Hold on, I need some ice. I bought a house. It was $89,000. It was a tiny house. My wife was at her dad's funeral. Her dad had passed. And we didn't both go. I got a business to run. I got things to do. I know a lot of you guys would probably have closed it down. And it'd be this whole week of mourning. And you'd have to take off of work. And everyone, that's not how we do it, man. Everything keeps running. But she takes a few days and heads up there. Well, during that time, I find a property for sale. And so I sent her, I've told this story a lot, I sent her a thing, and I knew it hadn't started yet. It was starting at 3, and I think it was like 150. I need her to sign this document. Send it up there. Obviously that might not go over well, but I need this document signed, because the house isn't gonna wait, man. The world ain't stopping. It ain't. And it's here now. So I execute on it. We buy it. It was like I had to put $18,700 down. I didn't have $18,000. I had like $12,000 in checking. $12,000. I went and sold a bunch of physical gold that I had. So I drove all the way to Houston, sold a shit ton of gold. Drove back. I'm all in. You know, every house that I've bought, I've been all in. I just never made enough money that I would be sitting on, you know, I would stack it all in. And everything, the last one I bought, all in. And then you go back, making money, stack it back up, man. And I think I did the math on, I got a video over there on my tiny house showing what it did 4 years later. And I don't know, the return on that total's been like 80 some grand, man. 80 grand. 80 grand. I put in 18. Now, could have boo-hooed, laid on the bed, not did it. This is not a good time for us, you know, and been like most of my friends. And I don't have 80 grand. You know what I'm saying? And yet, I still mourned. I'm still sad. You know? And I kind of think he'd have been proud. Like, he'd be like, yeah, man, go get that money. Because I know him. That's what he'd have done. So I think on that, man, and you got to push, man. 18 grand turns into 80. I think it's 4 years later or 5 years later. I have to go look on the video. And I wonder, and I wondered at that time, like, how many people would not have bought that, but would have put 18 grand in their 401k? And I know it ain't 80 grand 4 years later. I mean, I know a lot about stock market. It's not 80 grand. I wonder about that, you know? And that would have scared him with this, you know, this. And I think part of the reason is because it's all about you. Like, you have the keys. You have to execute. If you can just do it at work and just ship it off to someone else, then you can do the blame game later. You could be like, oh yeah, man, they ripped me off. And I see people talk about that sometimes. I'm like, no, man, you ripped yourself off by being fucking stupid and keeping your head in the ground and not looking at it every day. So don't blame somebody else, man. It's and again, not that I like 401ks, and if they matched me, I would do it, man. Shit, I wish somebody'd match me. But I've never had any, well, I shouldn't say never. I probably have one or two. Almost every time that I ask someone, what's it in, nobody can tell me. And so I would ask you, what is it in? And if you can't answer it, it's like, fuck, man. At what point do you get your head out of your ass? Like, why would you be paying into something you don't know what it is, dude? I mean, just say that out loud. How dumb is that? But it's a lot of people, a lot of smart people, dude. You get what I'm saying? A lot of smart people, their money is a mess. It's a fucking mess. And it's at the core of everything, man. It's the core of everything. And I do think a lot of that is just the pressure of life, man. Right now, I mean, I'm under a lot. Being blamed for some shit I did not do. Being possible to prove I did do it because I did not. And yet, you're still under the microscope. You know, and you can be like, fuck, man, this ain't even fair. You know, I got a couple choices. I could cry about it. And I probably will. Then I'll get my shit together. If you do that alone, by the way. I could get mad, and I have gotten mad, and I will get mad, I'm sure. And I could not post. Probably be the smartest thing for me to do is stop talking. But that ain't gonna happen. You know, and you can sit back and think, man, this is pretty fucked up, man. I'm just trying to help people. And no fault to your own, you're in trouble. Yeah, not your fault. You did not do it. You know, how are you going to handle this? You know, you didn't give your kid leukemia. You didn't tell the guy to get drunk and run into you with his car. Like, you didn't do that. You know, that's not you. And yet you're in it. You're living in it, man. And it's not fair at all. You know, but saying that doesn't help, man. You know? Being wrongfully accused or being, What good? That doesn't help you. It's not going to help you, man. And somehow you got to get up in the midst of that. And if it hasn't happened to you yet, it's going to happen, man. You're going to have these issues. And you got to find that way, man. And I think that's why it's super important to work on your mindset, man. So if you're trading, experiment with this idea, man. Love the losses. Love losses. Stop telling people that the losses bother you. Stop saying this is frustrating. Stop that, man. Stop speaking that shit into existence. Fuck this loss. I don't give a fuck about this loss. You ever hear me say that? I don't give a fuck about this stock. Take it to zero. And what that is a mindset thing, man. I don't want it to go to, of course I don't want it to go to zero, man. You get what I'm saying? But when I talk like that versus, oh, this is killing me, or, you know what I mean? So you're never going to hear me say that. You're never going to hear me tell you how much I'm down in a stock. Stop doing that. And people do this to me all the time. Like, say when they'll mention a stock, they'll always preference how much they're down in or up in. It's like, I don't give a fuck. Nobody cares, man. It means nothing, because that doesn't have anything to do with your decision of how to handle it. If you're basing handling it, whether you should do something with the stock based on what you paid for it, you're doing it wrong, because nobody cares. It has nothing to do with the valuation. It has nothing to do with the future earnings of the company. It has nothing to do with nothing. That's all in your head, and you got to be able to separate from that and look at it and make a wise decision based on right now with what we know, what's going forward, not based on what you paid or when you bought it. And I showed this on my story, and go and look at it. The stock of NVIDIA. Now listen to this. If someone would have put $10,000 in this stock not 10 years ago, and I know two people that put a lot in and they're still in it, not 2 years ago, or 10 years ago, $10,000 is like 1.8 million. I don't believe for a fucking second any of you would have held that stock for 10 years. I bet most of you don't even have a stock now you held for 10 years. And if the stock fell by 50%, which that stock fell by 50% a bunch of times, most of the people on here would have broke weak and sold it. And if you were watching the news and they're talking about this and recession and houses and this and that, you'd be getting the fuck out of the market. You'd be selling it. You'd be looking for some bullshit excuse to hit the run to the thing. I see it every day, dude. I see it with people I trade with. Where's my man at on here? Dump Tesla because of the news. Well, I'm a little worried about the debt thing. What are you talking about, dude? Get your shit together. Fucking, that's not the money flow, man. I don't give a fuck what the news says or what they're, that's not how it works, man. The price is above the 5-day fucking moving average, and the 5 is above the 10, and the 10 is above the 20. That's the fucking thing. That's it, man. That is the fucking thing. I'm not going to listen to some shit on TV and then bail on a strategy that I've spent my entire fucking life perfecting, working on, because of a news story. Fuck, dude. It makes me so mad. And you know what though? I don't have a right to have an expectation that young man, and I'm sure you're young, he's probably 33. 30-year-olds are the dumbest people on fucking planet Earth. And yet the smartest, because they think they know everything. And because they probably, this is when you first become an adult, and it's when you first start having some success, and maybe you're a little bit in charge at work, and you start thinking like you're smart. And the truth is, you don't know a fucking thing. You haven't lived through anything. You know nothing. And so if you walk around acting like you know something, or that somehow you can interpret the news, or you know where the market is going, it's fucking ridiculous, dude. And yet people will do it over, and a year from now, I'm going to have new people in the group. They're going to do the same dumb shit over and over. It never ends, because it's human nature, man. They'll come in, they'll start learning. I did this. That's where the money flow comes from. Me in my 30s, reading this book and that book and this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing and this thing, and then trying to, put it all together in something that made sense. And so it's unfair of me to expect him to just accept my 20 years of labor and just go with it. I know that. I know it's unfair. But yet it still makes me mad, because I know You're just wasting time, dude. You know? But again, it's unfair of me. But at the same time, I can't let it go unsaid. If you publicly post it, you know, and you publicly post something that is against the money flow, I'm going to say something. I have to. I tell you, you're stupid. I have to. It's my obligation, man. I have an obligation to defend the money flow. And so what I try to ask people to do is if you're doing something different, don't say anything. Go somewhere else. You know, there's no reason for us to argue. But I have to. What am I going to do? Let you change the group? So we're going to sell Tesla because you got nervous? I mean, what are we supposed to do with that information? All it's doing is undermining me, you know? It's undermining the group. And what if you're right? Now what? Let's say you're right. And there's new people in there trying to learn the system. And they're trying. And you went against it publicly. And then you're right. What happens now? You don't have a strategy anymore. You've proven that. You're not following it. And now when you post something, those people who were trying to follow it, you fucked them up from having a strategy. That's all that happens, man. And when you don't follow your own strategy, now you have no strategy. Now you're just out in the wind, man. And there are people who can pull that off. There are people who just have a feel. You know, there's like, hey, fuck it, bet 9. And they win. You get what I'm saying? But that's not most of us. That's not me. You know, and what's made me work is I follow. Every once in a while, I'll call an audible, and you'll hear me say, this is an audible. And that's just experience. Like, I just feel like this is the bottom or this is the top. And I know I may be wrong, and I rarely do it. That's why it's called an audible. And I preference it, you know. But I don't know why people do it to me, man. I don't know. I don't know if they don't like me. Because that's the way it feels, you know. You know, if you come in there and you're just publicly posting shit that's not the money flow, I mean, I guess you don't like me. I don't know why you would do it. Like, there's no benefit to you. You know, there's no benefit. You're not going to get anything other than I don't like you now. Like, that's it. That's all you're going to get out of that. And then if you're right, what? Am I supposed to change everything? Do I go rewrite the book and we put in this section on when news happens? That's literally the first page says not to do that. So, you know, and I freak out, dude. You'll see me, man. I do this all the time. I apologize all the time. Ask anybody in the money flow game. I apologize to people all the time because I flip out all the time. I do, man. I don't give a fuck who you are. You could be my mama. Don't give a fuck. You could be my friend of 9 years. Don't give a fuck. If you say something against the money, I will publicly, I can't, man. I can't let it go. You know, because I expect more of them. I expect them to know it. You know what I mean? And to me, it's more important than our friendship. Dude, this here is more important to me than anybody I know. You know, they don't like it, fuck them. I don't know what to say. You know, because long after they stop talking to me and they quit and they go join some other, this will still be here, man. And I'll still be doing this. You get what I'm saying? And you know, and what are the chances that they're still there? I mean, some handful. You know, you tell me. Have you traded every day since the first time you traded? You don't miss days. You're there every day. You're studying it, using the same strategy day in, day out. That is very few people, guys. You might get a little run, and if everything's going good and everything's going up, everybody likes it. But the moment it starts going down, watch the fucking crying. Oh my God. The fucking belly aching. You know? It's really ridiculous when it's a dividend stock. It's like, hey, you want it to come down, dude. What the fuck? Now, you don't want them cutting their dividend. I mean, sometimes that works out. But think about it. Back to NVIDIA. Be honest. You put 10 grand in a stock, you're going to hold it to 1.8 million? Highly doubt that. Highly doubt that. Selling a stock because you're up big in it is the dumbest fucking reason to sell a stock. It is idiotic. I can't say it any simpler. I can't say it any more blunt, point blank here. If you sell a stock just because it went up, you're a moron. I have nothing else. That is the case. I didn't say trim it. I didn't say take in a little profit. But if you sell a stock just because it went up, I'm not talking trading either, okay? We're not talking trading. I'm talking investing. So if you invest in a stock and it goes up 100%, okay? That's not a reason to sell it. Now, if you're a dipshit, that's a reason to sell it. If you actually don't know how to invest, that's a reason to sell it. If you're up 100% and there's a recession coming and you're watching the news and well, I'm going to sell it, then you're a dipshit. You don't know how to invest, dude. I promise you, carry that forward. That guy's not even in the stock market in 10 years. He's not even in the market anymore. I guarantee you, he's not even in the market anymore. That's what happens. They're not even in the market anymore. You know how many friends I have that were in the market and now they're not in the market? Oh my God, it's a long list. It is a long fucking list. They were in the market, now they're not in the market. Why? Why? You know, I mean, they all have some bullshit excuse, but why? You know, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's hard. It's life, man. Life's gonna knock you out, man. So I would think about that now. What's gonna make you quit, man? Not an option for me. I settled that a long time ago. There's no quitting. I'll ride this motherfucker to zero. They can take all the money I have in the market, take it to zero, man. It's like, I don't give a fuck. Once you settle that, it gets a lot easier. Doesn't mean I like it. Doesn't mean I want, it's not what I'm saying. But we got to have some sort of standard, man. And I'll wrap up with this. Everything that I do today that's made me the most money, and I've said this before, I did it for free. So I did it for free, man. So when you buy your first rental house, you're not making any money, man. Ain't nobody making money buying one house. You have a water heater go out, it's going to eat up all your profits. You're going to buy a house because 10 years later, you're going to make some money. You know? It's not going to happen from the first. Matter of fact, the first house may cost you money. It may have one problem after another, man. But 10 houses, that's a different conversation. You get to 10 houses, they're paying for each other. You're no longer paying repair bills. The renters are paying repair bills. You don't buy your second home. Your renters buy your second home. See, that's a different game, right? Same in stocks. People don't understand this. When you've owned a stock for 10 years, you make enormous money. So if you look, I put $4,000 into Pepsi. Today, Pepsi's worth like 20-something thousand. So my dividends compared to the 4,000, my return on Pepsi's huge. Like I make 12, 15% a year. I mean, whatever. Plus the appreciation. It's fucking huge. But when you first buy it, you're not making shit, man. It takes time, you know, and that's it on everything, whether it's bodybuilding, playing the musical instrument, you know, or learning to day trade. And I would say that everybody that's in our day trade room learning to day trade with me, if you're gonna pop in, do a 40-minute, just keep it to yourself, man. I don't even want to hear it, okay? Nobody needs to hear it. You're gonna pop in, take a quick move, pop out. Just keep it to yourself. Don't give a fuck. That's not what we're trying to do. It degrades the profession of being a trader. You know, it makes it seem like you can just pop in, treat it like it's a prostitute and pop out. That's not what it is, man. And it makes me feel like you don't respect it. Like that's not the point of it, man. And so, you know, I'm trying to teach people. I want them to be good. I want them to learn a skill they can do for the rest of their life to trade. And just little pop-ins and I bought this call option. Don't give a fuck, dude. I give two fucks about the call option or this you bought that made this. Don't really give a shit. Holler at me in 10 years when you're still doing that, you know? Then I'll give a fuck. Now, you're going to trade, let's trade. You know, we'll trade. Do you ever trade all day? I trade all day. You know, and I see this stuff about, you know, I trade the first hour. That is all nonsense, man. If that lures you in, oh, I trade 1 hour a day, fuck, dude. Come on. That should not be your lure, man. The lure is you want to learn a skill. And to have any expectation that you're going to make money, you know, right away give time, practice, man, practice. And you know, don't get frustrated. You know, eat that shit, man. Turn the frustration into be happy with it. Good, man. I hope we lose on Tuesday. Let's have a horrible fucking day. I hope we get chopped up, man. Let's have some whipsaws. That'll be fun. We need more practice how to handle whipsaws anyway, man. You know, I think we've had like 11 or 12, 13 fucking consecutive winning weeks. It's time we take a good ass whooping. Don't you think? Let's take a good ass whooping, see how we handle it. Let's see how you can handle it. You gonna be able to handle it, or are you gonna be crying, oh, I'm so frustrated, I'm gonna go, eh. Or are you just gonna fucking deal with it, get experience, and put time in, man? Because a lot of people watch, especially in trading, as soon as they get pressed on and they're frustrated or it's not going their way, their answer is to fucking leave. It's not to study it. It's not to watch it. It's to find a fucking excuse to go somewhere else, man. It's fucking terrible. And you know what? You can't do that in the Army. All of a sudden we're in a ground war and we start losing. You're like, you know what, guys? I don't think we're winning. I'm going to go home. You don't get that fucking option, dude. You don't get that option in football when you're losing. You don't get that option in anything in life where you're fucking losing. But people get in trade and they're like, oh, I'm not going to watch. And they go away, man. And then they wonder why they never get good. Well, I mean, how are you going to get good if you don't practice, man? So, dude, I'm telling you, people do this. And when it comes to trading and shit, it's like, oh, you know, like it's supposed to be some fucking pleasant thing all the time, man. You know, it's not, you know, but make it fun, man. Even if you lose, man. Hope all of you lose money on Tuesday. Be good for you. Be good. I hope the first rental house you buy is a fucking disaster. Shit show. You lose about 20,000 trying to figure it out. You know what's going to happen if that's the case? You're going to learn so much, man. That'll never happen to you again. You'll learn all the ins and outs. Man, you will have that shit figured out if you buy and your first one is a complete shit show. What you will learn from that will be lifelong lessons that help you become wealthy. Well, people will do the most they can to avoid what would be the greatest opportunity of their life because it's pain, struggle, and possibly loss. You know, don't tie up any ego in that, man. You don't know what the fuck the market's gonna do no more than I do. So any ego, like, oh, I'm gonna get out because of the news. I'm gonna get out of these stuff. But the news and the debt ceiling. Shut up. You don't know shit. You don't know how the market's gonna react. Follow your strategy. That's called being disciplined right there. Follow your strategy even when you don't feel like it, when it doesn't look right. That's how you earn. That's how you prove to yourself that what you're doing is worth doing, man. It's how you handle it when the times get tough, man. You know, when it doesn't feel right, when things aren't like that's when it comes about, man. You know, so stop trying to avoid pain. Stop trying to avoid the loss. Stop putting ego into it, man. You don't need that. Just execute. Execute. You know, and every day you get to start over, man. Every day you get to start perfect. Every day I start perfect. I'm the world's greatest fucking trader. Every day. Now, at the end of the day, I may not have been, but I start every day with that. And that doesn't mean you win every day. That means you lose properly. Not like a little, you get what I'm saying? You're going to get punched. So imagine you're a boxer, dude's beating the shit out of you, and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go take a break. That's not how it works, man. You're just going to take your ass whooping like a man or a woman, and that's it, man. So think on that, man. Think on that. Work on your mind, your mindset, man. Work on your mindset. The news should never rattle you. with somebody else should never rattle you. Shouldn't rattle you. You know, figure out what you're putting your faith in, man. Figure out what you're putting your faith in. Figure out what you're putting your system, your strategy. You know, I got my 10, and whenever I'm feeling bad, dude, which I'm not feeling so great right now, and whenever, you know, life is pushing on you, you're not doing well, and maybe you're losing and things aren't working right, I go back to the basics. The basics. Debt free. The basics. 10 pillars of success. The basics. You know, go back to the basics. Health, wealth, and mindset. Back to the basics, man. I start reading the basics. You know, go as basic as you can. Don't try to get fancy. Start over. And if you're trading and losing, drop half. Drop half. If you're still losing, drop another half. You know, and if you freak out about a position, sells off and you're down a lot, that's because you put too much goddamn in it. So now we know. Now we can learn from that, right? Well, now we know how much you can mentally handle. So make sure you're taking trades that you even have the mindset to handle. You know what I mean? And I said that the other day. Some people were going to carry the trade over in our day trade room. And I was like, you can do that. But when you start doing this with real money, the market could open up or down 3%, something totally out of the blue. So that's what the risk you're taking on. And we're day trading the TQQ. So if this market opens down 3%, you're going to be down 9 fucking percent. And if you're holding 1,000 shares, that's talking about being down $3,000 at the open. And what if it keeps going? You know, you got to ask yourself, does that sound like something a professional person would do? Or does that sound like something a dipshit would do who's just playing around? You know, and if that was your grandmother's money, is that how you would do it? If you were being paid to manage that, is that how you would do it? You'd be like, fuck it, let's just see what happens. I don't think so. Unless that was your strategy. But if your strategy is you're playing during the day, then execute on that as best as you can. Here's another idea. Market opens at 8:30. Be there. Now, you may have a legitimate reason you can't. Pillar number 3, structure your life around it. Stop giving yourself fucking excuses. Oh, I had to. Did you? Did you really? I mean, there was no other way. You couldn't have done this. There's no other option. There couldn't have been something restructured. Nothing. It's nothing. There's nothing. Then that's different. Then you missed it. That's fine. But if you missed it because you were just fucking late or you didn't show up, kind of hard to have an expectation of being good if you can't even fucking show up on time, right? So I don't think you have any expectation of ever being good at it if you can't fucking even show up, you know? So we had that on Friday. The market opened, gapped up, gap wasn't that far, we had one more candle, we buy. Never looked back, took off. Most people were late, they missed it. And maybe you had a real reason. I don't know. That happens. But maybe you didn't. Maybe you just fucked it up. And instead of looking for an excuse, maybe figure out why you did that. And why you're not taking it so serious. And why you're fucking off right now when you should be training. And ask yourself, if you were in the NFL, would they buy your bullshit excuse? And if you were trading for real, and you were running a fund, this is how you would do it? Really? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't stop playing with it and get real. Like, you should see what's up in the market in the mornings. You should already have your like, be ready to go, man. And do your homework on Sunday. Like, know what you're going on in your portfolios and be ready, man. You know, no excuses. Stop buying stage 4 declines and posting them like, oh, I'm buying it. It's going down. It's not even a fucking money flow buy. Stop doing that. You know, so anyway, that's how I do it to myself, man. I don't give myself any excuses, man. If I fucked up, I fucked up. And if you do it a lot, it's hard to win. So, but I do know this. You got everything you need inside of you, man. You do. You got everything you need, man. Don't let these all this stuff take it from you. All right, man. You guys be good, man. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys. Don't have my free book. Go hit it, get it, and go find yourself a copy of The Science of Getting Rich. That's one of my favorite all-time books, and it's free online. I think I got it in my bio link. If you go down far enough, you can hit it and catch it. And if you ever want to do a one-on-one or something like that, just hit me up, man. We can book that. I like doing those. They're a lot of fun, and I like trying to help people. Whatever it is you're working on, man. Talk to you guys soon. YouTube. I haven't done a live on YouTube in a minute. Let me cut this up. Appreciate you guys, man.